Hello and welcome to the fifth edition of Elets National PSU Summit 2020. Like the last four editions, the fifth edition has evolved into one of the major platform for all the stakeholders to brainstorm on all the issues and opportunities and challenges which are being faced by the PSUs and how the PSUs are involved to make a winning streak in the Atmanirbhar Bharat building. So we had a very eventful program inaugural today in the morning from 9:30 onwards, which was graced by Rajesh Agarwalji, who is the Additional Secretary and Financial Advisor in the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. We had one CMD from Central Electronics Limited, Mr. B.N. Sarkar, and a learned person from Tata Consultancy Services, Mr. Venguswamy Ramaswamy. After the inaugural, as we move on into the whole of the rest days program, we have with us another special guest. Again, this time we are from TCS, Tata Consultancy Services. Please join me in welcoming Paushali Chatterjee. She is the Head of Talent Development Center in TCS ION, Tata Consultancy Services. The role of technology and the digital innovations has become all the more relevant in today's times, particularly in the post-pandemic area. So how TCS is shaping up and how TCS is well poised to give solutions to all the corporates, whether they are public sector corporates or private sector corporates. Paushali will just run you through a short presentation for the next 15 minutes. Over to you, Paushali ji.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mishra. I will just share my screen. Are you able to see?
Not yet. Yes, now we can see.
Yes? Okay,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right, thank you. So first of all, good morning to everyone in this conference. It is my pleasure and privilege to be part of this wonderful conference, the Elets National PSU Summit in front of an August audience. And I will talk about the capability development aspect of building an Atmanirbhar Bharat. As we know that this is a great initiative that our country has embarked on. And what we are coming to you with is an offering called Talent Development Center. And our promise is that as you grow your business, we will grow your strongest asset, which is talent. So today I'll be speaking about these few things. So there are some data points that we have collected on Atmanirbhar Bharat from a skill perspective. Then some of the challenges in enabling the upskilling to build Atmanirbhar Bharat. Then how we can help in overcoming those challenges. So what are the things that are needed in order to overcome the skill building challenges in Atmanirbhar Bharat? And then I'll talk about the Talent Development Center offering and its benefits and how this Talent Development Center offering can help your organizations to get the right skilling done to enable Atmanirbhar Bharat. So moving on, these are some data points that we found quite interesting. And these have been collated from different sources, including the India Skill Report 2020 by CII, the McKinsey reports, Economic Times reports, etc., and also some of the other research that we have done. As we know that India, to our great pride, is one of the world's fastest digitizing countries, and there is a lot of room for growth in digital technologies. We have a digital transformation of the PSUs, which is key to Atmanirbhar Bharat. We have the Digital India movement going on. The COVID-19 crisis, while it has created a lot of hardships and difficulties for people, has also emerged as an opportunity to build a transformed and self-reliant nation. As we know that we have all been very adaptable and flexible to move on to performing tasks digitally or using digital technologies, the kind of tasks that we used to normally do in a face-to-face manual kind of situation. So like this conference, we would never have imagined something like this before the COVID-19 pandemic. So we have shown great adaptability and flexibility, and it has actually emerged as an opportunity to develop further on what we have done so far in the last 6 months. Another important thing is that if we want to make our country self-reliant, we have to imbibe the global best practices in areas like agile and scalable technology intervention, as well as in innovation that is embedded in those technologies. So we have to learn how to actually leverage those innovations and the digital disruption. So the digital technologies which have come in, it has actually disrupted the way that we used to work. Many of the things that was done manually is now being done through machines, and this has created a huge employment potential, about 60 to 65 million jobs. That is the estimated number. 60 to 65 million jobs will be required in 2025. But at the same time, it means that a lot of the workers who were actually doing the jobs that are now getting automated, those workers will need to be reskilled. So the estimate here is that 20 million workers would require to be reskilled to be absorbed in new jobs, because their old jobs will not be there anymore, and another 20 to 25 million workers will require to be redeployed by 2025 to new skills. So new skills that they have to learn, because their current jobs are being done by machines. So now they have to go on to more higher order skills, like they have to move into more decision making skills, they have to move into judgment based skills, they have to move into more creative skills, which are things which cannot be done by machines. So these are the kind of skills that need to be built. Another very interesting data point is that 47% of India's working population of millennial professionals. So millennials are typically those born after 1980, 1990. And this group of professionals will be one of the world's largest workforce by 2027. And the fact that, the millennials will comprise a large amount of the workforce, both in corporates as well as in PSUs, means that our approach towards learning and development has to change significantly, because the older approaches will not really work that well. So, in order to take into account the opportunities that have been created by the digital disruption as well as by the COVID-19 pandemic, and in order to address the aspirations, the learning aspirations of the millennials, we actually need a very robust and aligned learning ecosystem, and which can actually help the workforce get the new age skills, but also get those skills in a way that is very different from the traditional approach that we have. And that is one of the things that will come out as I move forward to what learners are saying about the kind of trainings that they're receiving now. So moving forward, these are some of the challenges in enabling Atmanirbhar Bharat from the skill building area. And these pointers we have picked out from our conversations with different PSUs and their employees, as well as through the research that our team continually does into what is happening around the world and also in the PSU sector. So, number one concern is that India's formally trained workforce stands at a mere 2.3%, and when you compare this to South Korea's 96%, you can imagine what this gap is. That if we have to become Atmanirbhar, we really need to change this number, and focus has to go there in the skilling part of it. Number two, there is a concern that 78% of fresh hires in IT sector, they need additional training before they become actually employable. So there's a lot of work that the companies have to do once these professionals come into the system. There's another data point which says about 60 to 70% of our graduate engineers are not employable, because while they're good at their engineering skills, they are not good at business skills. So we are also doing a lot of work from TCS in order to help the academic institutions build in those business skills into the academic curriculum, but that's a different conversation. But anyway, so a lot of these skills have to be built. 40% of the 16 million IT and BFSI employees need to get reskilled in the next 5 years. This is purely due to the fact that a lot of the work is getting automated, a lot of digitization is coming in into these areas, and the employees who were doing that work, they need reskilling. There is also a lack of focus on contextual learning, like soft skills, practical skills, life skills. So what I was talking about earlier, this is connected to point number two, wherein functional skills we are very good at. In India, we are very good at learning things. Our academic prowess is very high. But when it comes to the softer skills like communication, stakeholder management, etc., these kind of things are still not as well developed as we would desire, and there needs to be a lot of focus in this area, because when we look at the world tomorrow, the future of work, a lot of the manual or the logic driven work is going to be done by machines. So humans will have to move into those areas where they are managing, they are doing stakeholder management, they are doing creative work. So those softer skills, as they are called, those need to be focused upon quite a bit. Then number 5, on the job reskilling and upskilling is needed, and especially now in the pandemic we see that a lot of the jobs, the way we are delivering, they have changed. So something that we were delivering manually, say in a bank, there is a teller who is giving out the money, but today nobody is going to the bank. So what does that person do? So that person may move to a contact center, that person may move to a back office kind of job. So this kind of reskilling is required in all the different industry sectors. Moving on, what the learners are saying, number 6, 40% of learners actually have a lot of concerns regarding ambiguity and information in learning, because some of them are saying that the training programs are too long. Some of them are saying that they're not relevant to me, they do not apply to the actual job that I'm doing. Some of them are saying it's boring. So there are a lot of concerns about how learners expectations and what we are giving to them. There is a gap between that. Question number 7, point number 7, enrollment in skill development programs is also quite low. Now, while the government and PSU organizations have done a lot of work in making these skill development programs available, there seems to be a lack of awareness. So, the enrollment is not as high as we would have desired, and this is critical to building the skills that we need to make a self reliant India. Point number 8, trainees are also not being able to avail of opportunities to become entrepreneurs. That is also another very key area which will make Atmanirbhar Bharat successful, because we need entrepreneurs, not just people who will work in corporates and PSUs, but entrepreneurs who will come up with new ideas. In the MSMEs who are working in this area, MSMEs contribute about 30% to our GDP. So this area is another area where TCS is doing a significant amount of work, and this is another data point that we found pretty interesting when we think about skilling from an Atmanirbhar Bharat perspective. And finally, as you can see that compared to the developed countries, a very small percentage of our workforce has received formal skilling or training. So this is related to point number 1. This is something that we need to fix if we want to make our Atmanirbhar Bharat mission successful. So moving on, here are some 7 mantras that we have come up with, which will help us to address the skill challenges in Atmanirbhar Bharat. So, the first point is scale, because we are a large country. The large PSUs have got many employees, and they are spread across remote corners of our country. So, we need a learning platform that will enable uniform learning. So, today, what may be happening is that training is happening, of course everybody is giving training, but every location, every geography, every unit may be doing it very differently, and that means that different messages are going out to learners. So a learning platform which can actually be accessed by all employees no matter where they are in the country will actually ensure that first of all they are learning, secondly they are getting uniform learning that the organization wants to give them. So that is a key to solving this issue. Then speed is also very important, because today when we either if we talk about the digital disruption, or we talk about the changes that have been brought about by the pandemic, there is also another change that is happening, because some of the older workforce is retiring, so those skills are actually going away with them. So we need to have a very quick learning mechanism aligned to upcoming skills and jobs and skill requirement, so that we can quickly skill our workers and make them productive faster than what we are perhaps doing today. Then the point of support, comprehensive model to build the bridge the skill gap. So we talked about the fact that there are the digital skills that are required, however the workforce may not still have those skills, and this bridging of skill gaps is required, and the support is needed to provide interventions that will upskill and reskill at scale and at speed. Then we also need to focus on the entrepreneurial and behavioral skills that I was speaking about earlier. So this needs to be a specific area of focus, and we also need to have a good governance and control with a robust learning management system, which is enhanced by tracking and monitoring. Because unless we track whether people are learning, whether the learning is being effective, that learning effort is actually wasted. So that tracking and monitoring is extremely critical, so that we can really focus our efforts on the learning that is actually making a difference. Finally, experience. Not finally, second last point, experience. Sixth mantra is experience. Now, this is becoming very, very important because of the data point that I gave you, that 47% of our workforce is going to be millennials. Now, millennials are very tech savvy. They are also, their attention span is very low. So, a research data point says that now the human beings, attention span has gone down to about 7 seconds or 7 minutes, which is lower than a goldfish's. So you can imagine that giving them long training programs or long classroom sessions may not work with the millennials. What they are wanting is that they want training which is just in time, that okay, I'm doing this job, and what is the information that I need. They actually would actually go to Google and find out that what is the information. So we need a learning platform which can replace Google in their minds, and give anytime, anywhere, any device and any language training to them. So they don't want to get caught in a classroom. They don't want to get stuck to a desktop. They want learning to be available anytime, anywhere, so that they can have that flexibility in their life. So this is the experience part of it, which is extremely critical in order to keep the learners motivated and go on learning. And finally, we have to sustain a continuous learning culture, and make it by making the learning learner centric, contextual, and action oriented. These are pedagogies that are needed to be brought into the learning frameworks that we are using, so that learners remain engaged, they remain motivated, and they actually consume the learning that is being given. Because unless this happens, all the effort that we are putting in creating content or putting up a learning platform will become wasted. Because if you cannot make people learn, if you cannot make people consume the content that you're putting out there, then obviously they will not build the skills that we want them to build. So here's one very interesting quote that we found in the India Skills Report, which says that critical thinking to be able to provide consultancy and advisory services, networking and interpersonal communication, ability to furnish project based roles, working in agile setups, and the aptitude to work efficiently, sans supervision, without supervision, are some of the major skills that need to be cultivated in the candidates of today for the work of tomorrow. So, this is what we have been talking about in this area, where we are talking about building those other skills, the business skills, the soft skills, the life skills, which will actually help people be successful in their careers. So, this is our offering, the Talent Development Center offering, and this offering has been specifically designed to bridge the capability development gap that we see today with remotely enabled best in class integrated learning services. So, what do we mean by integrated learning services? What we mean is that many organizations may have learning platforms, they may also have learning content, but like I said before, if you cannot make people actually consume that learning content through that platform, then having the platform and content is not going to help. So, the learning services, the third point that you see here, is the key to our solution. Yes, we have a cloud based integrated platform that enables the anywhere, anytime, any device, any language learning that I talked about earlier. We have learning content. We can provide you best in class content from publishers, from public domain, as well as we have a content creation service where we can take your content and transform it into extremely interesting and engaging e-learning programs. But the learning services is the key to the solution. We have 100 plus curated practices which have been tried and tested with a 4,50,000 workforce in TCS, as well as Fortune 500 companies that we are working with. And these are designed to enable engagement, motivation, and impact oriented learning. So, key features of our solution, most of it I think I would have covered, but just to sum up quickly. So, we actually seamlessly integrate with your existing system. So, if you already have a platform, doesn't matter. We can integrate with that platform, and the learning can start the day after the platform gets integrated. So, it's quick and it's easy to integrate. And the other interesting thing is that it does not only give access to employees, you can also give access to your partners, like the contractual workforce. This is something that most learning platforms will not offer, because there will be a firewall, there will be a restriction to learning being given only to employees. But we can actually give external people also access to the learning. Then the content is procured from very well known publishers, as you can see. We have these very high standard learning services, and we also give you a cost effective technology. And there's a pay as you use model, because there may be budget constraints in the current scenario and post the crisis also. So, the cost model, the commercial model, is extremely flexible also. So, moving forward, just to summarize our unique proposition that we have the ability to simplify your capability development. So it is an end-to-end solution. We provide managed services. So if you today tomorrow tell us that, okay, take this piece of learning, say sales enablement, take this piece of learning and run it end to end, right from designing the curriculum to communicating with the salespeople, then running the training in a phygital mode, not only just online mode. We can do classroom, we can do online, we can do blended, we can do virtual classroom. So all that can be done, and we can simplify your capability development efforts by doing this. And we can consolidate the learning efforts through one service provider. So all the things that are related to learning, whether it be platform content, learning services, or consulting, we can actually provide this, and we can provide continuous quality and standardized training at all locations, because the platform can be accessed from anywhere. We also create a lot of value through consulting. So we have people who have been working in the learning field for more than 20 years, and they have been consulting with companies across the world, Fortune 500 companies. So they can bring that expertise and help you with any learning challenge that you may have. We are making that change, from static solutions earlier, or the traditional solutions may be a bit static. We are changing that to fun filled and engaging solutions through game based learning, story based learning, hands on training, experiential training, gamification, etc. We are also taking standardized solutions to personalized solutions. So today, everything is about personalization. Everyone expects a personalized solution, whether it be learning, whether it be any kind of service that I'm consuming. So travel, food, etc. So we are actually making those solutions personalized. So based on an employee's need or based on an employee's level of skill, we can recommend through our technology enabled platform, we can recommend the right kind of trainings, which makes the learning more contextual for them. So if you remember, we had 40% of learners saying that there is ambiguity in the learning. So that is the challenge that we are addressing through personalized solutions. And finally, from just activity based learning. So what activity based learning means is that I have run a training program. After that, I don't know what has happened, but we actually want to go to the next step and say that, okay, we have run these 5 training programs. What is the outcome? What has happened? Has productivity increased? Has my customer satisfaction gone up? So that kind of tracking and actually looking at the outcome of the learning is something that we are also providing. So, moving on, this is my last slide. I'll just walk you through a case study very quickly that we have done with one of the big government departments. And this was a simple training program on Microsoft Excel. However, we wanted to give the learners the right kind of experience and also ensure that they are getting the learning. In fact, the learning transfer is happening properly. So what we did was we actually not only gave them an e-learning course, but we created communities for them, and within communities there would be blog posts, and the blog post could be by learners or it could be by the SMEs that we gave them access to. There were learning nuggets that were created by the SMEs to help them with to augment the e-learning program. There were webinars conducted by the SMEs, and we also conducted certain learner polls on what they're liking, what they're not liking. So the value that we brought to this engagement was that it was 100% digital learning, because it was done during this pandemic situation. It was anytime, anywhere, any device learning, what is now being called at a learning. It was social and collaborative learning through communities, and the SMEs were present in the communities to answer questions. They were posting learning nuggets. We also gamified the whole thing, wherein if somebody completed a quiz or somebody completed a certain percentage of the program, they would get some badges and certificates on the community. And when they completed the course, they also got a good certificate with the branding of the employer as well as of TCS Ion. And then we also customized the learning reports and insights. So every day, customized learning reports would go out to the management of that department, and they would be able to see what the learners are doing, how many people have enrolled, how many people have completed, what is the scores of the employees in the different modules, etc. And here we have two testimonials from the learners who had actually taken this training. So they said that they have learned to present data in various ways. And the second one is more interesting, that they said that we got very new information in this training, something that I'm not even able to find on Google. I actually got it because there was an SME who was helping me. So this is the kind of solution that we bring, which is not a standard one size fits all for all employees. We give the e-learning programs, of course, but we augment that with more contextual, more customized, more SME driven interventions. So this is all I have for today. I hope you got some insights from this presentation. And if you want to contact us, this is our website address, www.tcsion.com. So thank you very much, and over to you, Mr. Mishra.
Yeah, very insightful presentation. Thank you. In fact, very interesting statistics you shared that 40% of the trainees are not having any clear idea about the type of training they are getting, and 70% of the workforce or student output having functional knowledge
Right.
but yet not industry ready. It's quite a telling story of the education and the training development system in our country. And I hope that companies like TCS Ion are able to bridge this training and skill development gap between what our system delivers and what is the exact requirement of the industry, whether it is the public sector enterprise or whether it is a private sector enterprise. And the good part is that the time is now quite ripe. The COVID pandemic has taught a very good lesson to all those who were not tech savvy or who are not digitally tuned. And this is now the new reality of life.
Yes.
So we all have to live with it. So with this, we thank you very much. We have got a long agenda ahead. And I would request my colleague at the backstage to present you with,
Thank
with
you
the
very
speaker
much.
certificate.
Thank you.
Rajeshwar. My colleagues at the back says. So this certificate of participation goes to Paushali Chatterjee. She is the head of Talent Development Center in TCS Ion, Tata
Thank you
Consultancy
very much.
Services. Thank you so
Stay
much,
safe.
Paushali. And yeah, thank you so much. And viewers, let me just tell you that we have a very long agenda ahead, and very interesting topics are there about ranging from the how the PSUs have been able to cope up with the pandemic challenges to technological innovation shaping in the tech industry in the PSUs. And also the chief guest, our chief guest for the day is Suresh Prabhu, who will be joining us at 3:30 sharp.